Back to my channel Study Desk of Anand. So in this video we are going to see a partition in a BigQuery. How does this work? So what is a partition? The partition table in a BigQuery is a table that divide into smaller or more manageable parts. So that is something we can call as a partition. Usually this is happen on the date time column or integer column or a timestamp column in BigQuery. Partition on string is something not supported in BigQuery directly, but there are some way by which we can do it. Now this thing is like why we need a partition. So partitions we need just for a faster query, like when we are scanning from a BigQuery table, right? So it will return a faster result. Also, we know that the BigQuery is a GCP services, right? So it is a chargeable. Now what we can do if we are doing a partition, so it will lower down the cost. It will only scan the one partition data that is needed for our search operation. So that is something we can use, and this will a better organization. So data is neatly arranged by the date time, the partitions which we are using. Now there are types of partitions like ingestion time partitions, which is nothing but like when we create a partitions, the data is inserted. So all the inserted record will be stored in a separate directory. And we can also create a column based partitioning on a basis of date, time and range, right? Like a integer column. So that we can do. So let's try to create a partitions. So there are two ways why we can create a partition table. The first one, like we can from UI, we just click on this create table button and we are here. Now we are creating an empty table here, and I am just adding a table name as a table part. And here if you see, I can add a field like ID. I will give it a string data type only. I will say name, that is also string. I will say run date. Now if you see the below part, right, there is a partition by ingestion time. So if you choose this, so every ingestion performed to this table will be stored as a separate partition. Now we can do a cluster as well, that we'll see in the next video. So let me just create a table. Yeah, so we can see that the table part is being created, and we can preview it by just simply clicking here, and we can see in the details section, right? If you just scroll down, it is a partition table. Since we created the partition for every ingestion, so the default column partition time is already created. Now the expiration is a 60 days. Same thing we can do it with the help of query as well. So how we can do, we say create table, and the table name will give it, since we are writing a query, right? So we need to add a project ID like that we can see, and then data set, that is our data, and we are creating a partition table. So I'm just saying partition underscore table, and here we will be adding certain columns. So column will be, let's say I'm repeating the column ID as int 64, that is a integer data type in BigQuery, and we will be having name as a string, and I can say run date as date. So this is, let's say I wanted to create a partition by ingestion, right? So I can add a partition date that we can add, and this will create, there is a typo, partition by partition date. So this is something we can create using a SQL query. A partition will be created. We can see that we can click on the go to table, and we'll be able to see that partition table is created with this. This is the with the help of query. Now if let's say we want to create a table using some column approach, right? So what we can do, we will use the same query, and let's say I will give it a name as underscore one, and here I can say create a partition on a column, so that will be run date. So with this we will be able to create a partitions with the help of some column base. So that is another type of partitions we can create. In this case, the data that we insert, it will be partition based on the run date field, and the data will be stored in respective directory. Now if you want to see the partition that is created for run date, we can click on this, but